Great. Thanks, Mark. And thanks to all the presenters before me. And what I really enjoyed about a lot of presentations was the discussion on, there was a lot of discussion on innovation, a lot of discussion on inclusion, for women and youth, and also a lot of discussion around tailoring and curating the approaches which we take. What I want to touch upon today, so some of you would have seen me yesterday, so I'm trying to avoid replicating exactly what I said yesterday, but taking a different approach. So what I want to talk about today is to talk around gender transformative business models. So one of the approaches IDH has been taking to support the inclusion of women into agricultural value chains. Then I want to talk about the innovation library, so the tool which I shared yesterday. I want to use that in an interactive way to look about identifying gender innovations. And then afterwards, I want to talk about moving forward and what, say, our burning questions are for the upcoming breakouts. So in terms of how we define a gender transformative business model, is they're models where we see that they contribute to greater commercial viability for SMEs, but also for other actors, financial service providers, larger off-takers, input providers, while empowering women. And they do this in a way where the root causes of gender inequality are tackled. So for instance, these are business models where there's particular focus on building individual capacities, such as offering training, education, and resources to women, addressing harmful gender norms, and strengthening institutional rules and practices. When it comes to the value that we see to the different actors in the ecosystem from a business point of view, we firmly believe that businesses benefit from increased productivity and profitability. That's including their staff, but also the actors that they work with, such as female farmers, when they pursue a gender transformative business model. Stronger employee-to-employee relationships. I think a lot of people will be familiar with the literature which shows that engaging with women can result in lower credit losses. Also often see higher uptake of good agricultural practices, as well as some reduced risks. For farmers and for women farmers, the benefits of these business models is around better access to services and resources, contributing to more income, control over financial resources, and household benefits. And then also there's broader ecosystem benefits around economic growth, poverty alleviation, and gender equality. And one colleague who's one of the co-authors on the guide, we recently created a publication where we go into a lot of this in more detail, showcasing some of the evidence, some of the case studies, which we've seen in support of what's on this current slide. In terms of the components for implementing a gender transformative business model, there's 5 key components that we see. And what we typically do when we engage with an organization, with an agri-SME, is we use a gender assessment tool to take a look at the intentionality of those business models, because our hypothesis is if there isn't an intentional design for women, then it's not going to be designed in a way which is going to serve the needs of the women. So when it comes to the 5 key components, so one is a gender strategy, another is data collection. We're very much keen on gender disaggregated data collection. Also at the workplace, so things such as putting the right policies in place, so creating favorable working environments for everyone's growth. Then when it comes to consultation, engaging both women and men to better understand their unique needs and preferences in project, product, and service design. And then lastly, adapting for inclusion, so customizing interventions to address the needs, preferences, and realities of women and men. So that's just very much in a nutshell some of the theory and the approaches we take around gender transformative business models, particularly working with agri-SMEs in Africa and India in these last few years. But what I actually want to do is I want to see if I can turn this demo, which I did yesterday, into a little bit more of an interactive demo where people leverage the tool. I think my colleague, Juan Carlo, will put the tool in the chat. or otherwise let me do it myself. Yeah, so the link which has then gone into the chat, and I want people to consider the following scenarios. If they go to that link, they will see the landing page of the innovation library. And in this scenario, they're a green off-taker and processing company. The majority of the farmers that's in the value chain are young women faced with structural barriers in access to finance and productive resources. And a key concern to businesses is how to provide services and source produce from these women in a efficient way. So what I would like to ask everyone to do is to just open up the link, take a few minutes to familiarize yourself with the tool, click around on some of the objectives, perhaps a little bit of filtering, explore what might be solutions which might address some of these challenges. So let me see if I can also share two screens right now. It's probably a little too advanced, but I will let people continue to do that themselves, and I will also embark on it myself for those who might not be able to do it themselves. For instance, using this example, one key objective which can select is to address gender inequalities, but also key to these gender-transformative business models is we also want to identify, okay, what are the solutions where there's a business benefit as well, and will be a way to sustain the impact over a long period of time. So maybe here I'll select reduce cost to serve and address sourcing needs. And what I see come up is 3 innovations. So farm management information systems, block farming, and farmer-led seed multiplication. We can go into some more detail on these particular innovations and how they support gender inequality as well as business objectives in the breakouts. Then what we can do is even run a little bit of a comparison of these, seeing what are the other objectives that they address, ambition level, which in this tool is a function of the time and the investment needs, target demographic, and then some key contextual information where we think it's best suited to. So that very quickly, and people feel free to play around. I will move on to the last 2 slides in my presentation because I can see Mark's face speeding me up. In a nutshell, what we see this tool is we see benefit to 2 groups of actors. So to businesses and to support organizations, TA providers, BDS providers, for businesses to understand quickly which innovations are suitable, feasible for their model, for support organizations, BDS providers to design interventions with more of a sense of what to recommend and to expect. This is the version 1 of this tool. There's a lot we want to strengthen. There's a lot more internal evidence. We actually want to connect more with a lot more evidence, case studies across the sector. I won't go into each of these individually, but we're looking at towards how we can better crowdsource inspiration. What are the additional innovations that we want to add? How do we enhance the navigation? But in terms of the breakouts, and just to wrap this up, the question which we really want to discuss is what innovations are most appealing when supporting agri-SMEs to better engage with women and youth? How do you see your organization using the tool? Can it make your work easier? And what is the use case of such a tool for agri-SMEs or the BDS providers that you work? Back to you, Mark.
Okay, thanks. If you could just drop your slide.
Yeah.
Or just this up so people remember, so I can know what the groups are. Or could you put the breakout groups up for everybody?
Would I open them up now?
Yes, please.
Perfect.
Yeah, and essentially you have choices between 4 groups. Now we have really run over time, so you are not going to have 2 choices. I want to make that clear before you go into these. However, you can always come out of a room and go into another room, but we are going to have to come back at around in about 15 minutes time. So it is far less than we anticipated. We've had a lot more information than I guess you expected, or maybe even I expected. And so please choose your rooms now.